Unfortunately, the King of Doom is not with us, but I think he's going to be joining us. I got my new co-host today, Christian Arcan.
What's up?
Him. You know him from the Prince of Darkness show, Adam Jones. You can hear him on the Sports Hub, right?
Yeah, 98.5 at night. The rotating cast of Adam Jones, he chews them up and spits them out. So I'm just the latest one, basically.
There you go. If you want to join us, make sure you go to the Cred app. Just go up in the right-hand corner. You can join us at any time. Jump in. Don't hesitate. Just a bunch of dudes watching the game. And I'm kind of pulling my hair out a little bit, Christian, here, because even though they're up 21, what do they have, 21-6? I've just been frustrated with the game. It's just like the energy hasn't been there. And I'm just like frustrated. Granted, the Buffalo Bills are not very good, especially on offense. But early in the game, I think what Brady was doing, just they really weren't calling a lot of throwing the ball. But I do like the fact that they were running the ball. For the Mike Felger, who doesn't believe in a running back, I think Sony Michel's done a tremendous job today.
Yeah, I mean, really, the passing game's gone nowhere on either side. And the only difference is the Patriots are running the ball really, really well. Sony Michel, this is best he's looked in about a month. Patterson with a bunch of great runs. White's looked good. The only guy who can't run is Rex Burkhead with that fumble. But, yeah, so far that's been their whole offense. Yeah,
and I think Burkhead, he's in the game right now. He's had a couple runs. He's been okay. He's been decent. The thing I like Burkhead, but I think what ends up happening with this Patriots team, when it's like you have too many running backs. Like Burkhead should be, in my opinion, he should be an insurance policy just in case something happens to Sony Michel or James White, because he kind of does a little bit of both. Sometimes I think they force him a little bit on the issue. We're trying to get him the football. I don't think he's a bad player, but I just think the other two guys are better at what they do.
Yeah, I mean, I'd agree. Like Jeremy Hill. Did you hear them talking about him earlier this week? They're like, Jeremy Hill was going to be a big part of our offense, and I just keep forgetting he was even on the team.
Right.
Because he went on IR so early in the year. But, yeah, I mean, that would have been even more there. He would have had Hill, Burkhead, White, Michel. Like, that's a crowded stable of running backs there. Right. I don't know who would have emerged,
Patriots obviously just moving the ball, completion, Edelman on a little jerk route there. That's what they call it for all you X's and O's people out there. Let's see what some people are saying right now. Aaron and Dedham. Adam and Dedham. Oh, he's on the fan line. Come on, jump on in if you want. He wants to talk about Sony Michel. So, Aaron, we can jump on anytime. We want to put him up here now. He's in Dedham. Yeah, they've been running the ball good. I think all three running backs have done a good job. Aaron, what's up, brother?
What's up, dude?
Oh, hey, guys. Two things. One thing for why does it feel like whenever Sony Michel wants to get the ball, he can make things happen? It just doesn't feel like they're feeding him the ball in any other games. And second thing, for Alkand, called in 2 weeks ago.
I didn't catch the second thing.
Called in 2 weeks ago, and after the Dolphins game, you said they were going to win out until the Super Bowl. And you said, when I called you said that they would still win out. And then after the Steelers game happened, do you still think they're going to win out, Alkand?
Well, since they didn't beat the Steelers, then obviously not. But I think they'll win this game and the next one. If they have a road playoff game, man, I don't know. It's hard to pick them. It's hard to pick them in good consciousness. They've been so bad on the road all season long, really. Even in the games they won, they weren't that good. So I don't know. I mean, I felt that they were going to lose to Miami, beat the Steelers, and then just keep on winning. I had a good feeling about, I don't know, the Minnesota game. And it's fallen apart since then.
I thought they were going to run out. So what I do is every week that they play, I say they're going to run out from there. So they'll win their next two. If they continue to go this route in this game here, they're going to beat Buffalo. And I think next week against the Jets, they'll be able to win that game. Keeping my eyes down on that game down there in Philadelphia. Philadelphia is beating the Texans. So his other question was Sony Michel. It had something to do about Sony Michel. But I couldn't really hear him. And then somebody says here, BST says, Wiggy, do you feel like Michel's lacks the burst of speed to separate in space? The one thing I would say about Sony Michel, and, I remember watching him in Georgia, Christian, because I'm obviously a Bulldog. That's where I went to school, and I've always kind of followed the team. And the one thing that I would say, it seemed like he had it in college, but he doesn't have like that burst. And I think BST's right. He don't have that burst through the line of scrimmage. But the thing that he does well, because he doesn't have that burst, is he's good against contact. So he's not the type of guy, even if he gets through there, first contact is not bringing him down. So what he lacks in that burst, BST, I think he's able to make up for his ability to run through the first contact and be able to get through the hole. But he's really not the home run hitter back. We've kind of seen that right now. I don't know if that's kind of like residue of the knee injury, but I like him. I think he's a good player, and I think, when you look at what the Patriots – Huh?
You think they should have drafted Chubb instead?
You know what? I don't think so, because for what the Patriots do with their offense, Sony Michel gives you a little bit more because of the fact that they like to, throw the football to the running back. And I know they haven't thrown a lot to Sony Michel this year, but if you did look at him at Georgia, he did catch a lot of balls down there. Let's see what else we got here. The other thing I would say, that defensively they've been playing good, but how much of that is on the Buffalo Bills offense being just horrible? I would say a good portion of that. I don't know about the offense, but I look at it like this. Every win from here on out for the next 2 games is all that matters. Whether you got a scratch claw fight, a win is a win and get to the postseason.
After that Steelers game, they held Brown and Smith-Schuster to like nothing. Those guys didn't do anything in that game, but they let that rookie run all over him. So I was thinking today, you got a quarterback who can't really throw all that well. He can move. McCoy's hurt. He's banged up. Ivory's banged up. They got that other kid who was like, 5th, 6th round pick, the running back, which is what beat you against Pittsburgh. So I'm just more impressed, I guess, with the running defense here. I sort of thought maybe that was just a dead end with this team. Like they just couldn't stop the run against anybody, but they're doing a good job here. And defensively last week, I thought they were fine. They were good against the Vikings. Really, the Dolphins was the only blip on the radar there with the defense.
Right. And their defense has looked good, especially today in the running game. But, it's a tale of two teams, and that's why it's so important for them to win these next 2 games and then keeping our eye on the Philadelphia score. We'll have to check that out. Let's see what some more of these comments says. Let's see. Eric says, well, first off, Don says, yo, Arcan is sexy. So Arcan, I hope Don is a girl. But hey,
I appeal to all different kinds of people, Wiggy. It's not just
whatever you
matter what it is.
Whatever. I'm just letting you know. Let's see what Eric has to say. Eric says, but the backs suck. Mike, he's going on Felger, because Felger's thing is that you can win with anybody at running back, which clearly you can't do that. But that's his big thing. Ow! Come on! Oh, almost a safety right there. I know you're a little bit behind.
I am behind. I've not seen this yet. I'm just getting back from commercial.
So yeah, you got to catch up, man. AW Gronk is terrible this season. Gronk has not looked the same. And I'm hoping that he can have a couple big playoff games, even if he has a bad. Clearly his regular season has not been up to par, but during the postseason, all it takes is 1 or 2 games for him to make some plays and ultimately put you over the top to help try to win a Super Bowl. Yeah, you're way behind there. Let's see what else we got here. That's not true. Michel did not catch the ball. Derek said Michel didn't catch the ball a lot at Georgia. He didn't catch it a ton, but he caught it enough. You could clearly tell Derek that he has the ability to catch the ball out in the backfield. He's no James White, but he's not an Adrian Peterson who has stone hands. So, he has the ability to catch the football. You know what? I look at this game, and some of the takeaways I have from this game are, clearly your ability to run the football. That is, I think, what you have to continue to do, because that will open up the passing game. The offensive line has to give Brady time. They have to give him protection, And but I think so far for this game, this Buffalo Bills game, I was frustrated for probably the first 3.5 quarters. Like, damn, what's going on here? But you know what? It's one of these games where now it's like, all right, let's get through this healthy, and then get through next week with a W, and see how things roll, how we roll into the postseason.
I'm looking at it as, these last 2 games, 2 home games, AFC East teams. I mean, if we're judging this based on like how they look and what they're doing, I don't know how you take too much positive away from this outside of the defense being able to stop the run, but they don't even have their good running backs playing. Like McCoy only took a couple snaps. The defense looks good against this team. They're supposed to. I don't really, I don't know.
I think what you take away from it is what they are clearly at home versus on the road, right? So when you look at this team at home, and Philadelphia is up 23 to 16 on the Texans. So what you look at, and we've clearly seen, is that at home defensively, they're, for whatever reason, they're just a better team. I think it's because they're a little bit more aggressive at home than they are on the road. So knowing that, I'm looking at this and saying, okay, these next 2 games are critical. Don't stub your toe. And hopefully the Eagles will be able to hold on, which will give you the 2 seed. Now all it takes is one hit up by Kansas City, and you take care of business at home in the divisional game, and the AFC Championship game could potentially be at Gillette.
Yeah, I mean, that's very possible. Why do you think it is that they get so much more jacked up at home? Like, Troy Brown said something about that the other day this week. He said, when they're on the road, you don't see them, like, fist bumping. You don't see them slapping 5, celebrating on the field, only at home. Like, do you have any insight as to why that might be?
You know what? Dorsett with the jet sweep around. I know Cordell Patterson got hurt, but that play's been killing them, that little jet speed sweep. The thing at home, I don't know, like, what the difference is. You should, I've today, to me, the energy early in the game looked a little bit like they didn't look like they were ready to go early in the game as a team. So I don't really know if I can agree with Troy on home road. I just feel like it's about the team, and it's about to me, whoever the leadership is to get these guys ready to go, whether they're at home or on the road. And I just think that they don't have those like leadership guys. When Troy played and I played, we had guys like Troy was one of those guys. He wasn't very vocal. We got guys like Willie McGinnis, Teddy Bruschi, Vrabel, Roman Pfeiffer, some of these other guys, Lawyer Malloy, to kind of get that energy going. For me, I don't know who those guys are. And I think that's why you don't see that's why, to me, I see this energy is not really there, because I don't know who those veterans are that bring that to the table. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and you know what? The way you just said that, like energy, there's not a lot of youthful energy on this team either. There's not a lot of young playmakers on this team. Like Trey Flowers, Shaq Mason's an offensive lineman, I guess like J.C. Jackson. But other than that, all the playmakers on this team are 25 and up. Maybe it's youthful energy that's missing here.
And remember, if you want to jump in, make sure you just go right up in the right-hand corner. You can join us. We're seeing some of your little text messages down here. David says Brady is scared. I mean, I definitely think that at times. Come on 3rd and goal with this stupid outside run play. I definitely think Brady is scared a little bit. Christian, I think he's kind of – I wouldn't necessarily say scared, but what I would say with Brady in the pocket, he's definitely seeing some ghosts. The Eagles just went up 29-16, but Brady is definitely like seeing ghosts in that pocket. He's like feeling the rush when there's no rush, and I think that comes from if you get a little pressure on him early, you can get him to do that. Yeah,
that's been going on a lot this season, it seems like. That those awkward ways he was falling, and that remember at the end of the Steelers game and that pass, and he like fell down just for no reason. Right. Like people were talking about maybe his knee's still bothering him, but I don't know. The knee doesn't seem like that. Doesn't make you see ghosts in the pocket, right? Like a knee's a knee. That's in your head.
But I think if you have an injury, right? If you have an injury, right, and let's say if you're a tight end or a wide receiver and you're going across the middle and you have an injury, maybe you start to hear footsteps because you don't want to hurt that whatever that injury is more than what you have. So you necessarily maybe you might tuck a little bit, get those gator arms, what they're called. And so maybe with this supposed injury that Brady has or whatever they're calling it, I think maybe he just kind of like once you get a little pressure on him, and like I said, he starts kind of, feeling those ghosts in that pocket. He's now like, you know what? I'm going to live to fight another day and just kind of get rid of this play. Yeah. And the crazy thing about this to me is this, right? This is the crazy thing before we jump on the fan line, is that people now are talking about Brady throwing like sideways and out of the pocket and talking shit about him.
Right.
But it's probably 6 or 7 weeks ago, they talked about how Brady was so good at doing that and protecting himself. And that was the difference between him and all these other quarterbacks that always got hurt in the pocket. So I just think that, you can't bash him for the way he's, throwing out of it. And then then praising him some weeks ago.
You know who else had a lot to say and positive about that? Tom Brady. He loves to tell you how he's trained his body to take impact and fall down and do all that shit. So, maybe I was hearing it from him too, not just his fans.
But guess what? It's kept him around and doing it for this long. So,
true.
Cleveland's doing something right. Let's go to Ian and Swampscott. Ian is on the fan line. Jump on up here with us. Let's see if we can get Ian plugged up. So, but I mean, Ian, what's up?
What's going on, guys?
What's up, Ian?
I was wondering if you guys are currently up 29-16 right now in the game. Yeah. Is there any – so it's looking right now we're probably going to get a 2 seed. So is there anybody out of the divisional in the divisional round that you would possibly be worried about that's coming out of the wild card? Like Chargers,
Baltimore,
Ravens, anybody like that really scares you?
I want no part of the Baltimore Ravens. Zero.
I agree.
Any other team except
in the playoffs every single year.
You know what? Well, let me tell you something. Baltimore has played well, but the thing when I look at some of those teams, you look at the Chargers, you look at Baltimore. Who else? You're probably talking Pittsburgh and
maybe. You can throw the Titans in there.
Titans maybe or Tennessee. When I look at the Baltimore Ravens, I mean clearly the thing that they do well is they run the football. So that's what they are. They're a one-dimensional team. So to me, I'd rather play against a one-dimensional run team that is going to take a lot of time to score points, to put points on the board. Then you'll be playing them at home where you now can, throw the football. I just don't think Lamar Jackson and that offense can keep up with the Patriots offense in a playoff game. Now, defensively, they'll make some plays, but I just, I would rather see a young rookie quarterback come into Gillette than maybe, say, a Phillip Rivers or Ben Roethlisberger. So that's why I know Baltimore's playing well, but I would rather see a young quarterback like Lamar Jackson come in a run team that exactly what they like to do.
Yeah. I mean, they don't even have that many running backs to go. It's basically just like Gus Edwards at this point.
Right.
Yeah.
So you know what they are. You know what I mean? And I think, once you know what a team is, and Bill, if he can game plan and take away what they do, now you turn Baltimore into a throwing team. I mean,
they got nobody to throw to.
But have you seen Lamar Jackson throw the football? He cannot throw it to save his life. So
he just runs the ball all the time. That's why they're running him out of the Wildcats so much.
Yeah, right. Listen, I think you're both right about Baltimore's offense. I just don't want to face that defense. That's the best defense in the league. What are they giving up 15 points a game? You saw what they did to the Chargers last night. I mean, they give it to everybody consistently, right. And I don't want to see him. I don't want to see Brady in this offense and that offensive line with all the penalties last week and some more this week too. I just feel like Baltimore will really give them a hard time, and I'd rather have a nice, easy walkthrough in the first round, and I don't think Baltimore will give you that.
Christian, who would be that easy walkthrough? If you had to pick between, let's say, the Ravens, Pittsburgh Steelers, the Chargers, and let's say who would that be? The Texans that would win that? The Texans would be the 3rd seed, so they would be playing on Wild Card Weekend. So those are your 4 teams: Texans, Ravens, Chargers, and the Steelers. Who would you rather see come to Gillette in the divisional game?
Houston, number 1. I think they beat Houston the easiest. I think they beat Pittsburgh at Gillette pretty easily too. Chargers, I like them. I think they're a good balanced team. I don't really want to see them if you can avoid it. And I definitely don't want to see that Baltimore defense. So I'll say Houston 1, Even though Houston won Pittsburgh too. And then if you want to throw like the Colts in there and, Titans or one of these other teams that's sort of on the bubble, like any of them would be fine too. Just not Baltimore. Right. I'm all set with Baltimore.
I would agree with you in the sense that I wouldn't mind seeing like the Titans or the Colts or something like that. But to me personally, I would always start because the playoffs is about a quarterback and a coach, and when you're the Patriots and you're playing at home, I mean, I wouldn't necessarily want Baltimore to be one, nice with the block punt, but I wouldn't mind having to play a rookie quarterback at home. So, but there we go. Block punt, Patriots, starting to take control of this game. Let's see what the score is of that Eagles game. Is that
still 29-16?
It's still 29-16. Who's got the ball? Do the Eagles?
Texans have the ball at the Eagles' 30.
So Texans have the ball at the Eagles' 30. All right. Well, got to keep our eyes on that one. So.
8 minutes left there. They have to really come back.
So what the?
It's kind of a lousy slate of games today, All the good games are 4.
Right, but the only game I cared about was Philadelphia and the Texans because that's the only game really that really affected the Patriots. When you think about how everything's shaken up, and it goes back to the playoff picture. Let's see, we got some other comments out here. Let's see. It's what you need Felger for. Let's see. What you need Felger for. I'll be Felger. Patterson sucks. Sony sucks. I mean,
you got to deal with a Wisconsin accent.
Gronk is hurt. Edelman is hurt. When you look at this team, clearly they're not the same Patriots team that we saw. We've seen for the number of years around here. Gronkowski is not the same guy. Edelman is still, coming off that ACL injury. I think Sony Michel has been fine. I wouldn't say he sucks. I think if you're saying that, you're just being an idiot to just say he sucks. He doesn't suck. I think he's a fine player. When you look at what Patterson gives you, I think Patterson is a player that has a specific skill set that you try to take advantage of. And before he got nicked up a little bit, when you talk about that little speed sweep, jet sweep, whatever you want to call, he was productive with that. You throw the ball 1 or 2 times, you give him a couple of those. So I think when you look at that, Hogan's the same way. I think that they're not the same team that we've seen in the past, but they have enough when you start to look at the rest of the league. And I think that's what everybody is missing the point on. They're judging the Pats on what we've seen, but they're not taking into consideration what the rest of the league is.
Yeah, it's fair. I mean, a lot has been made about the Patriots and their big losses lately, and they were bad losses to be sure. No one's denying that. But look at the Saints; they haven't been good. The Chiefs lost. The Rams have been losing. It's not just New England. What's different though is that they're doing it now in December, and that's way different. I mean, to back-to-back losses, even on the road in December. I mean, I think that was what sort of got everybody thinking about this is a different year, and maybe it's all over, that sort of thing. I mean, that's where those conversations sprouted up from because of the abnormality of that.
Right. I understand that point as Brian Hoyer checks into the game so clearly. They're like, all right, now we don't want to make sure Brady gets nicked up. I understand that what you're saying there is because of what we've seen with the Patriots, like you said, especially at the November, December, and they generally play well. But you have to take every season for what that team is and who that team is. And I think when you look at this team, we knew it coming into the regular season, right? We knew coming in, Edelman was going to be gone the first 4 games of the season. We knew that after the first couple of weeks, Gronkowski wasn't himself. Then we knew. Let me give you a little advice, man. Get a dog. Get a man's animal. Forget about a cat. But you look at the first couple of weeks of the season, and you think about what this team was, and you knew that you had to try to implement Josh Gordon. We were wondering what's going on with the defense. So where they are with this team to be moving to 10-5 with a week to go. What this team is, this is a successful season because they're going to win the division, and it looks like if everything goes according to plan, they're going to be the 2 seed.
Yeah, and honestly, I mean, after the last couple of weeks, it seemed like this was probably like a long shot or something that you couldn't count on again. I don't know. I mean, even with all that, even with them probably getting the 2 seed here, assuming that that Philly holds on and that they beat the Jets next week, you know, do you have faith that they can go on the road, win a playoff game? Like, is that something you think that could actually happen?
So, see, I think you have to rephrase that question, right? The question, if they're at the 2 seed, it's not about do I have faith if they have to go on the road and win a playoff game.
To go to Arrowhead.
The question becomes, well, who knows? The Chargers might be able to go into – somebody can go into Kansas City and beat them, right? Mm-hmm. The question would be, do I have faith that they can win an AFC championship game on the road? That's different than a divisional playoff game, a wild card, because every time you get into the playoffs, like wild card weekend, it jumps up. Divisional weekend, AFC champion, like the pressure, everything involved in that game it goes to a whole nother level. So when you say, can they win an AFC championship game in Kansas City, one game, I think they can. Reason being, because the AFC championship game is a completely different animal than a regular season game, than a wild card weekend game, than a divisional game. It's just a completely different animal. And when you have a Brady and you have a Belichick and you have a lot of guys that have been in that position before, they understand that, you know, and hopefully all it takes is one game. They know it's 60 minutes. Whereas the Kansas City Chiefs, they've never been in that situation. Patrick Mahomes hasn't been in an AFC championship game. None of those guys. Andy Reid has been in some NFC championship games and a Super Bowl, but his players have not been there. And so I think one game, yes, they would be able to, if they put everything together, they would be able to win an AFC championship game on the road. That's how you should ask the question. Can the Pats win an AFC championship game on the road?
Yeah. Yeah, it's fair. I mean, I think they could do it. I think they could do anything. And I also think Patrick Mahomes definitely has that sort of playoff choker potential. I think he might end up being like Manning was against you guys all those years when he'd have these great regular seasons and crap his pants in the playoffs. I have a funny feeling about Mahomes with that. But even still, I mean, this team on the road has just been terrible. They've been awful.
They have. But if I had to say to you, if I said to you, Christian, here you go. You got your life savings. Right?
That's not very much.
Well, whatever it is, it's your life savings. Yep. You put your life or your life savings on the line. AFC championship game, the Patriots got to play on the road. It's one game. Are you betting with them or are you betting against them?
I'd probably bet with them. I mean, listen, I picked them to win the Super Bowl. I thought they were going to win out. I had them at the beginning of the year beating the Saints in the Super Bowl, which I still think could happen. But I don't know. I mean, you've got to admit this is a different year. Like things are different this year.
It is a different year, but it just if you were to ask somebody that, right? If you were to ask somebody this Patriots team this year, and we're talking about an AFC championship game, because that's what the biggest discussion here is. Because if it looks like they get the 2 seed, they're gonna if everything goes, you know, according to plan, they're gonna have to go probably to KC. Now, and that's what it's going to come down to. Can they beat Kansas City in an AFC championship game? And I think they can, and I would bet on them only because, like, you know how they weigh everything and bet in home field, who's not playing. To me, that's a big part of when you factor in betting on this team is they have a ton of guys that have been in that AFC championship before, have been in that situation before, and understand what it takes mentally, even though they've been playing like shit all year on the road. When you're talking about that game, it's completely different. I remember when I was in Carolina, and we were getting ready to play the Rams in the NFC Championship game. And I remember John Fox, he had myself and Ricky Prohl talk about the importance or just talk about what it meant to play in an NFC Championship type of game. Mm-hmm. And we were the only ones that had that type of experience. So what you try to do, that's what Kansas City is. As a team that you're going to have to ask a couple of guys, if they even have guys on their roster, to talk about what it's like versus the Patriots, who have been there multiple times, and those players have been there multiple times. So to me, you have to factor that in. And I've always been, I've been around this game a long time and been involved in AFC championships, NFC championships. And it comes down to quarterback and coaches at the end of those games. And I would put my money on Belichick and Brady before I put it on Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes.
I'd never put it on Andy Reid at the end of a game for any reason. It'd be a stupid thing to do. But I'll tell you this. You talk about betting and how they're going to set the odds. Patriots have to go on the road in the AFC Championship game. They're not going to be the favorites. It might even be like a 6-7 point line, favoring Kansas City. So, I mean, you might bet on them. I might bet on them. But that's not where the action's going to be.
But I think the action will be dependent on what the Patriots do in the divisional round, right? Say if they blow doors in the divisional round, whoever they play against. And let's say Kansas City struggles and wins by 3 points or a touchdown against the Chargers, right? You might get home field, but then you might get people saying, the Patriots, they're playing well in the playoffs. Mm-hmm. This is a dangerous team. So that line might only be, -3 or something like that. So it could, it could fluctuate depending on how those games are played. And like you said, are people going to bet on Andy Reid and a young Patrick Mahomes in an AFC Championship game, knowing when you look at the Kansas City last year, they lost at home to Pittsburgh.
Right.
So
I mean, they have to win 2 games to get there too. Or no, they just have to win the one, I guess. But I mean, still, they'd have to win a game to get to the AFC title game.
That one game is going to be at home.
Mm-hmm.
So that one game is going to be at home where they're a different team, and so that's why the biggest conversation is going to be, if they continue to do this, especially moving into the playoffs, is can the Pats win on the road? Because that's what people are going to say. But I would say reframe that question. Can the Patriots win an AFC Championship game on the road? And that road potentially being Kansas City. Yeah. Because if Kansas City gets bumped off, now it'll be like, I forget what year that was when they hosted, when they beat Baltimore, where they were the 2 seed and whoever the 1 seed lost. So, I mean, there's a chance that KC could lose. So,
yeah, that's possible. We got a text saying Arcane and Wiggy, should they have kept Jimmy G? If you wanted to go 8-8 this year, maybe.
you can't keep Jimmy G. The problem is with this, right? What are you going to do? Pay the guy $24 million, $25, $26 million to sit on the bench?
Franchise him?
Yeah. That's what the franchise tag is. Franchise, you go to franchise Jimmy, it's what, $26 million to be a backup?
About that, yeah.
You're not going to do that. The question should have been, could they have gotten maybe more for Jimmy Garoppolo? I think that's probably the biggest question. And, they probably could have got a little bit more from him, but who knows what's going on in those rooms. Like maybe you send them to Cleveland and, you could get a ton for him, but maybe Bill's like, yo, I don't want to send this guy to Cleveland because every quarterback that goes to Cleveland fizzles out in 2 or 3 years.
It's true. Although this one's doing okay.
Well, I mean, yeah, it's, let's see. It's one. Yeah, it's one. Let's see. I remember RG3 had a tremendous rookie year. RG3 was amazing. He was the next best thing his rookie year. And then what happened to him? I mean, look at Carson Wentz. Yeah. I mean, look at Carson Wentz. Had a great rookie year, hurts himself. And I'm not saying he's going to go the RG3 route, but is he going to get back to the Carson Wentz that we've seen before? So I think Baker Mayfield is good, but I want to see him in another, see him what he does in another year or 2. But this is what it's going to be. This is what you guys are going to be talking about from here on out. Mark my words.
Yeah, probably. By the way, the Eagles might blow it here. Philly just scored. Houston just scored. It's 29-23 with 4.5 left, and the Eagles have the ball.
You know what?
But that's not good.
The Pats are up big in this one. I'm gonna see if the Eagles are on. It should be on TV because I want to see.
Is it?
Let's see. I don't know. I don't think so. I have to go to stupid Red Zone channel.
I don't have Red Zone, but I know a way to stream it illegally. Actually, I don't. I've never ever streamed anything illegally in my life. So
I wouldn't think so. I mean,
I've never done that. Never gone to Reddit and clicked on one of those links before. That's never ever happened in my house.
Even if you did, always keep the fifth and say no. You know what I mean?
Of course not.
But
I wouldn't bow to that temptation.
Let's see. I mean, I gotta see this now. Is that what they're up? So they're up 6, right?
Yep.
Oh God, they cannot blow it. They cannot blow. What channel is the Red Zone channel? I cannot find it.
You have DirecTV or Comcast?
No, I have Comcast. I got it right there.
It's like one of the last channels before it goes to the music channels.
I'm gonna try
900 or something like that.
$8.99. All right,
$8.99. There you go. Yeah.
So when you look at the Pats, that's going to be the biggest conversations going forward, right? That's going to be the biggest conversations going forward. Is can the Patriots, now depending on this Eagles game. So depending on this Eagles game, because now say if the Eagles lose, now you're hoping next week that the Texans, I think they got Jacksonville next week. Let's see who they got next week. I think they got Jacksonville, right? Now you're banking on Jacksonville. The next week, so let's see who. Yeah, the Texans are at home against Jacksonville. So, this is it, really. Because now, if they don't win, now the question becomes, now you're playing a wild card weekend at home, right? Probably, like you said, against Baltimore.
Mm-hmm.
And then now you got to go to Houston and potentially.
Yeah, that's now a tough road right there.
Right. Now it's like, all right, can they win 2 games on the road? Yeah, they might be able to beat Houston on the road. But are they going to be able to beat Houston and then follow up the next week and go to Kansas City? And I would say the way, like you said, if I asked you to bet your life savings on that one, I'd probably save my money on that one, but let's just hope. Let's see who's got the ball here. They got it on the thing there. Let's see, 4:23 in the Eagles game, 29-23. Let's see who's got the ball here. Let's see what's going on. All right, 4th and 3 at Houston's 3. Philadelphia, huh? Philadelphia punted the ball.
They punted? Oh shit!
Yeah,
this could be a bad finish here. if that happens, it's going to change this whole conversation. Real quick, regardless of whether the Eagles win or Houston wins or whatever, should we be concerned about Tom Brady throwing for 126 yards? QB rating of 48.3. I mean, this is at home. I was expecting a little bit better. I was expecting something. I mean, the passing game was non-existent today.
Right. No, but because if you go back and you look at this game, I mean, they weren't calling a ton of passes. You look, I think at one point, I thought I saw some stat or something like that. It was like 8 runs, 2 passes.
Yeah.
So I think this was one of these games, and you always see the Patriots do it where you're wondering, like, damn, why isn't Tom Brady throwing the football? I remember it was like that with the Miami Dolphins a few years ago down in Miami where they just come out and run the football. Now, fortunately for them.
The Jackson game, yeah, that was awful. I remember that really well. That game sucked.
Right. But this is one of those games, except they've been productive running the football.
Yeah.
They run the football well, right? So you kill clock, and then your defense is going against a shitty Buffalo offense. Why go out there and throw the football and maybe, like, look what happened. They threw it, and Burkhead and Brady weren't on the same page, and it led to an interception.
Yeah.
Or Gronkowski's drop that led to an interception. So when, you could clearly tell they got to the point where, like, hey, we don't need to throw the ball in this game. We'll just run it. And, I can live with that because, I mean, that's like when you look at Brady, that's like not something that's normal. That's
right.
A one-off where he has 120 yards passing the ball. So I'm not going
think these picked around Brady today? I mean, I agree with you on the Gronk one. On the Burkhead one, though, I mean, even if he did turn the wrong way, if he had turned in, I think he probably would have gotten picked off anyway. That linebacker was standing right in front of him.
Well, I don't like I said, I don't know because he had inside leverage on the guy.
Yeah.
But it looked like he was supposed to be running like an in-breaking route, but then he started and then he went out. So, like the 2 interceptions that Brady threw today, the Burkhead one, we'd have to find out what was going on. And if I had a bet, was Brady on the right page or Burkhead on the wrong page or the right page, I would bet that Brady was, on the right page and Burkhead should have probably broke in. At least if he breaks, maybe he can knock the ball down or something like that. It's a hotter interception. And then the Gronkowski one, he's got to just catch that football.
I agree with you. And obviously, 25 attempts, 45 rushing attempts. Like, that was obviously the game plan today. And it's working. Right. I mean, they're up big and, it's I don't know. Just something about this win is the defense has been fine, but I didn't expect them to really struggle that much. Some about this win just sort of lacks that. It's one of their more dominant wins, I guess, this year. Better than the Vikings, too. But the Vikings, that's a real offense. Like, I was impressed when they did that to Minnesota because that's a real offense with a good quarterback and good receivers. I was impressed when they did it against Pittsburgh. For some reason, this one's not resonating with me all that much. Maybe it's because I'm sitting here talking to you.
Well, you got to understand, right? When you look at this win, right, and I think that the thing that you have to understand when you look at this win, you got to understand, right? It's about the flow of the game, and like you said, they clearly made a point early in this game to run the football, and so that's what they were thinking. We're gonna run the football. And so they try a couple throws early, and you have an early drop. You're just not on the same page. But you're running the football, but your running game is productive. So they probably could, if they wanted to, they probably could have incorporated so much more play action, but they didn't. So I just feel like it's one of those games when you look at it, you ran the ball well. Like you said, you didn't throw the ball a ton, and your defense was playing good against a team that couldn't do anything offensively. So if you got a team that can't keep up with you, there's no need to throw the football. And so I look at this as a one-off. It's not a game that I'm concerned about. Is it an ugly win? It's an ugly win in the sense that, it's not one of those flashy wins that we're used to seeing Brady throw 3 touchdowns, 300 yards or whatever. Now we're spoiled to that. We're spoiled to it basically like the record. They end up going 11-5, and it's like, oh, okay, what's going on here? The world is crashing. What's the deal with the Pats? I think that today's game is just, it's one of those one-offs. I'm not going to take too much concern into it. Like I said, how dumb is that as an onside kick? Like, who are you kicking that to? So I just don't. That's why when you ask the question about the Pats on the road, it's because of this. I know you're a little bit behind, but watch this onside kick attempt.
I just watched that botched extra point. I just saw that. So
right, but the onside kick attempt was even worse. He doesn't even give his team an opportunity to make a play on it. Let me see what's going on here in the. Let's see what's going on here in the Philadelphia game. 2:48. Houston has the ball at the 20. Let's see. 7.
Yeah, it was a terrible kick.
Let's see what's going on. Houston's got the ball. 3rd and 11 at Philadelphia's 35.
Okay.
So this is big. 3rd and 11 at Philly's 35-yard line. So this game is big. Come on, Eagles. I never.
Are they allowed to cut to it? Is CBS allowed to cut to another game when it's in market like this?
You know what? That's a good question. I don't know. That's above my pay grade. I the executives on that one, but
Jonathan Kraft says no. He's like, no, man, leave it on. Here we go. They're kneeling it out. All right, this is almost over. I'm sure they'll cut to it.
Touchdown, damn Texans.
Touchdown Texans?
Yes.
Fuck. Really?
Yes.
Oh, balls.
Touchdown.
No. Maybe Miracle Foles can take him back down the other way.
There's 2 minutes to go in that game, so.
Oh, boy.
2 minutes to go, and Philly has 2 timeouts.
Hey, a guy on the text board just said, we just lost Josh Gardner who had 700 yards, not Brady's fault. You think this team misses Gordon today? Or that wouldn't have mattered because of the game plan?
No, I think they're going to miss him moving forward. Definitely. I mean, today, like I said, it was all about game plan, but they're definitely going to miss him moving forward. But, he's battling with demons that he's got to try to figure out,
Yeah, for sure. Sad story. That whole thing's real sad.
This is what I've said before. We can all sit here and go, I'm on a bet. We all got people that know somebody or whatever that has issues and dealing with. But
definitely,
you as a person, you have to somehow, some way. One of my best friends dealt with it. Find something in you to say, I do not want to do this no more. I choose life over death. I choose a life and living over drugs, alcohol, and whatever it is, and then get that help that you need to ultimately, get to a point in your life where you can rehabilitate and you can, because for every sad story that we see two positive stories about people who have came through it and who have, been this, sober for 15, 20 years and that kind of thing. So,
yeah, I feel like with football players in particular, I mean, you could probably speak to this, but like, just the cocktail you got to take to get on the field sometimes when you got, got injuries of legal things, like legal stuff that you're allowed to take.
Well, my thing is this, and I understand everybody, but I understand everybody's mental makeup is different, but,
right.
There are plenty of people like, and we heard about the stories of where Josh Gordon grew up, and we heard about those things. There are plenty of people that have grown up in, environments that are a lot worse or very similar, and that, didn't end up going down that road. So, and I understand it's all about the mental makeup, but I generally am not going to necessarily say, use that as like a crutch.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? I think if you are addicted to something, you have to get to a point in your life, and clearly he's not there, where you have to say, like I said, living is more important than getting high or getting drunk or whatever it is every day. And he's clearly not that at that point, because he's ultimately choosing, if he tested positive for something, he's ultimately electing or choosing to say, okay, that is more important than me, creating a life for my kids, for my family, for myself. And I think that's when you're talking about addicts, that's what they have to get. They have to get to a point in their life where they have to say, I can't continue to do this to myself no more.
Yeah.
And it's got to come. It's got to come with the support and cast around you. But at the end of the day, you have to ultimately say that this is what I need to do.
Yeah. It starts there, even if you have a great support system, sometimes that's not enough. It's got to be you. Yeah. Doesn't seem like he was ready. I mean, he probably shouldn't have been playing this year. But you know what? He did get reinstated. Like, he had to get sober to get reinstated, right? So he did it once.
Right. So I think you make a great point. Like, he wasn't ready. And like I said, for me, I'm just not gonna I'm not gonna I feel bad for him as a guy and what he's going through, but I'm not gonna make excuses for, some of his actions. He has to take some type of culpability on himself and say, you know what, this is my problem. I can't kick it. I can't shake it, whatever it is. I need to do X, Y, and Z. Maybe I'm not at that point yet. So I think that's the biggest thing. And I think people are very sensitive nowadays. We live in this sensitive world where if you say that, hey, this guy is making a choice to choose that, drugs and alcohol over playing football, people are so like, oh my God, why you have no compassion? You have this, that, they're quick to get all up in a tizzy. But no, I think if you and I saw a lot of people on social media, a lot of former addicts that have recovered say that their biggest thing is that they ultimately made this choice to, put those drugs in their body or whatever it is, because we don't really know what it is. And they have to, and they made it a point that they had to tell themselves that I can't do this or that kind of thing. And I think there's, because then people start talking about mental health, and I think there are people who deal with certain things. I kind of see these two, even though they are intertwined, I kind of see them as like, two separate entities. But at the end of the day, he has to look himself in the mirror and, say to himself like, yo, I want to live. Forget about playing football. I need to live. And if I can do this, the likelihood of me living, it starts to go down very drastically. So I think that's ultimately what it is.
What it comes down to, it makes football seem a little more secondary. But with that sort of being said, it's a lifestyle, right? I mean, you're a big star wide receiver. You're out there, on the town. You're out there around. There's people around you, enablers everywhere. I mean, that's the reality of it, right?
See, I think that's more of an excuse. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's a lifestyle. It's this, it's that, it's this. I mean, because that
but it's not like you're in a rehab center getting monitored all the time. I know Gordon had people following him around, but like bye week comes up, he's out. That's what Glazer said. Glazer said today it was, they had people with him all the time, and then the bye week came, and then boom, he was off the rails right then.
Right. No, I'm not saying that. Like, all I'm saying is that, there are secondary things that, cause you to do those things. But at the end of the day, it comes down to you, whether you're a celebrity or whether you're just a regular person, picking up trash every week.
Right.
It comes down to you to try to put yourself in a position where maybe you won't relapse, or you won't ultimately be around alcohol or be around people who do drugs or whatever it is. You got to ultimately, say, I can't put myself in that position because I know that I'm not strong enough to kick this habit yet. So I need to remove myself from that. And so, I don't really like to say, well, it's a lifestyle, because like I said, my best friend doesn't drink, doesn't do that. And he had some issues, but we'll go out and I'll be sitting there having a drink, and he's not even. So I think
he's good with it.
And he's good with it. You know what I mean? It doesn't affect him. But there are people out there that who will say to you that, hey, listen, if you're going out, I don't want to be around that, because maybe I haven't got to that point yet in my sobriety where I can say being around it is something I can deal with and won't affect me. Whereas some people are like, yeah, I'm good. You know what I mean? You have a good time. I'm not, so.
I got friends like that both ways.
Right. So
who can do it. And then people who I wouldn't drink in front of just because I know it would be bad for them. They wouldn't,
Right. So I think that that. And then obviously, like you said, who are those people around Josh Gordon, and how are they know, like, hey, listen, he hasn't made it to the point where he can be around people. So let's, hey, Josh, we're going out tonight. You might want to sit this one out, bro, because there's, drinking and whatever going on, something like that. Or are there people that are like, just like, enabling him to do that? So, but it's, at the end of the day, it's one of those stories that you're going to look at and you're going to be like, man, here's a guy that had all the talent in the world, and because of his demons, just, it's just real, becomes is just not even really a thought process, like when you think about him as a player, just everybody's going to be like, man, he had one great, that's it. So
sad
whatever. Yeah.
Speaking of sad stories, you see what Jadeveon Clowney just did to Nick Foles?
Yeah, I saw that. I saw that. I'm watching it now. But you know what? Look, Nick Foles stands in that pocket, makes a great throw.
Yeah.
Jeffries comes down with it. 20 Sudfeld. Wow, who's this guy?
Zach Sudfeld?
No, the quarterback that's in the game for.
Oh, Nathan Sudfeld, maybe?
Zach Sudfeld decided to go from tight end to quarterback. I know we're pushing it a little long, Christian, but hopefully the Pats will be able to pull this. Pats pulled their one off, but hopefully the Eagles will be able to pull this one off. They only got to get to field goal range. We're going to hang around, keep fourth quarter live going. Come on.
I bet you cracked a rib or two on that play.
Oh, he's back in the game. Saint Nick. I see you, Saint Nick. It's Christmas time. I'm ahead of you guys. Saint Nick's back in the game.
Saint Nick's back in
the game. We're extending fourth quarter live here on Fan Cred.
Nice.
Normally we don't do this, but hey, guess what? Felga's not here, so I can do what the hell I wanted without him bitching. So we're going to extend this one because this is critical for the Patriots fans. They only got about another 15 yards to get in field goal range. What are you doing? Like, it's
All right, here comes Foles back in. Ooh.
Yeah, he just throws one up. I don't get it. They only need a field goal.
He was going for the end zone?
No, he's not going for the end zone. When you see, just like he's throwing up like I don't even know. It's not an end zone shot, but it's not like, like, hey, let's try to pick up some yards on second down. Oh, God, what do we need? 10, 15 yards here? Let's go, St. Nick. Come on. Christmas got to come early for me. I need it.
This is weird rooting for Nick Foles.
There it is.
Something good just happened.
Zach Ertz happened.
What happened?
St. Nick hit Zach Ertz on a corner route for about 20 yards.
Good.
Nice. And he gets out of bounds.
Excellent.
Now now you can run the football. They're in field goal range. There you go. That's why you got to have a tight end. Zach Ertz, 12 catches, 110 yards. Let's go. It's 53.
Well, for the Eagles, so I'm gonna. Yeah.
All
right. He's got that. No problem.
Tell them we're Eagles fans now, but it's 53-yard field goal, so let's get a little bit closer. Wow, catch the damn ball. Damn Sproles. Oh, God. Catch the damn ball. We need this, Pats fans. You don't know how critical this is, the difference of being the 2 seed versus the 3 seed. Jesus, let's go. Come on, St. Nick. Because I don't want to see them go for no 53-yard field goal. How's their field goal kicker? You know who Philly's field goal kicker is?
Something Elliott, I want to say. I don't know much about him, but I think he's okay.
Okay.
I think his name's Elliott.
Yeah,
I don't know much about him.
Let's get another 10 yards. Come on, let's go. Now watch the blitz. Watch the blitz. Draw. Here we go, Sproles. Nice. Love it. Nice.
You think maybe we're taking Houston too lightly? Like, I think the Patriots will whoop Houston's ass, but like that's just based on what I saw in the first week. A lot's happened since then. I mean, they had a really good season.
Yeah, but Houston's got to beat Baltimore.
I know.
If you're the 2 seed, you're sitting there, feet up, like, hey, you don't know if it's Houston, you don't know if it's Baltimore. However the 3 and 6 seed play out, which it looks like it'll be Houston as the 3 seed, they got to still, or however the 6 seed plays out, whether that's Baltimore, Houston's got to play Baltimore. Can Houston get past Baltimore? The point I'm making is that when you're the 2 seed, now you're just in a position where it's like, all we got to do is win 2 games and we're in the Super Bowl. And one of those games we getting at home.
Yeah. Anything you need to see against the Jets? Like, do you need to see them do anything against the Jets before the season ends, or is this game just basically a game at the end of the year? It doesn't matter.
Nope. Win the game and get out healthy. That's all I need you to do.
All right.
I need you to do. Some Elliott here. So here we go. They'll let the clock run down. They'll run it one more time, depending on what hash she likes it on. St. Nick. St. Nick had a hell of a game today, too, huh?
Yeah, better than Brady. That's for sure.
They're better than Carson Wentz.
Yeah,
they gotta be. Let's see. There was a guy on here, Boston Sports Take. I think that's who it is. BST. Carson available for trade? He might be.
Carson Wentz?
Carson. Yeah, they might put him on. I mean, imagine if Nick Foles has another great run in him.
I know.
Let's see what we got going on here. Let's see the stats. Nick Foles. Wow, Nick Foles, St. Nick, 471 yards passing and 4 touchdowns, 1 interception.
St. Nick. Watson had a good game too. 339, 2 touchdowns, no picks.
Nice. Right in the middle of the field.
And Watson rushed for 2 touchdowns in this game too.
Timeout. Here it comes. To win the game and put the Pats at the 2 seed. Just what was it? Pittsburgh a week ago.
Yeah.
I was talking shit. to this, Pats to that, they're done, blah, 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 blah. Right back at it. All it takes. That's why I said to you when you asked me, can they win on the road? Can they win an AFC championship game on the road? When you look at these teams, I think so. I think, they can beat Kansas City. All it takes is one game where they come out and all of a sudden Gronk goes out there and catches 12 catches for 125 yards and 2 touchdowns in the AFC championship. That's all it takes.
That'd be nice, but Gronk's been a goddamn ghost lately, including today.
Yeah, but when you think about it, 2 weeks ago against Miami, you're like, oh, look at Gronk. Where's this guy been? So
yeah, he disappeared again.
Right, but the where he's at right now, he did disappear. But where he's at right now is like, you never know. Like you never know if he can give you that one game or that 2 games. And if that one game is the AFC Championship game or is the Super Bowl or whatever it may be, then guess what? You know what? I'll take it. Let's go. Let's go, Elliot. Report. 35-yard field goal. This should be money. Come on, Kryptonite. Good. It's good.
Yes.
That's it.
Thank God.
That's
Thank
it.
God.
Christian, thanks for having a blast, buddy. That is it. We'll see you
man,
next
this was fun.
Quarter live. Had a ball later, cuz.
All right.
Take care.